Hi, this is Mark Kinixu reporting from Asia. I wanted to discover the secret of Pastor Manu's successful ministry in this remote village tucked away in a humid jungle. I spent several days with him, and I was very impressed with how rapidly his ministry was growing beyond all the expectations of his leaders. As I got to know him, I couldn't find anything spectacular about him. He's not a charismatic, outgoing kind of guy. There's nothing about him that would draw a crowd. He's very humble, and he has no desire to make a name for himself. At the end of my visit, the only reason that I could see for the growth of his ministry is his utter dependence upon the Lord. When I first arrived, Pastor Manu shared his story with me. His life changed after being miraculously healed from a heart problem. He thought he was going to die. He tried medical treatments and he prayed to his gods for a cure, but nothing helped. One day, he encountered some people who were going to a prayer meeting. Desperate for healing, he went with them and started attending the meetings. After a few visits, Manu asked the Christians to pray for him. During their prayer, he suddenly felt something change within him. Manu knew that Jesus had miraculously answered the prayers of the believers, and that day he surrendered his life to the Lord. When he went back to the doctors for a checkup, they told him that he was completely healed. After he was cured, he said that joy flooded into his life, and he had a deep yearning to know more about the God who had healed him. As he learned more about the Lord and became closer to him, Manu developed a strong desire to share the love of God with others who were struggling just like he was. He enrolled in a GFA Bible college, and after graduation, he went back to his home village. One day I went with Pastor Manu as he visited people in the villages near his church. He spends a lot of time visiting and developing relationships with the people in his area. After seeing the example of Jesus in his life, they ask him to have a prayer meeting in their village so that they can learn more. It's not long before many of them choose to give their lives to the Lord. The new believers I saw in his congregation have a deep desire to know the Lord more fully and to see others know him too. And they are very committed to prayer. On Saturday, I watched a group of women walk into the forest near the church building. Laying mats on the ground, they sat and began their own time of worship. Soon, sounds of their singing, mixed with prayer, rose up through the forest. As their hearts and voices sought the Lord, they asked him to bless the Sunday church service and all the preparations that came before it. While I was at the Sunday service, I almost felt like I was in heaven as the believers prayed and worshiped. When the service ended, I watched many people approach the pastor for prayer. I was so impressed that Pastor Manu would give so much time to the people after the service. I observed another very exciting aspect about the believers in his church. Many of them go with Manu as he visits nearby families. Like a fly on the wall, I watched the pastor and believers ministering to the people. They would listen to them and then pray and encourage each one as the Lord led. Often the people would decide to attend local prayer meetings and go to the Sunday worship service at the church. But one thing that really touched my heart is the fact that the need for the love of God is still so great in this region, greater than just one pastor can possibly meet. Pastor Manu told me that when he sees the needs of the people around him, he's compelled to continue his ministry. And he told me that more workers are desperately needed. The next morning, I got up real early so that I could see, like every other day, how he'll start his simple daily routine, one that keeps him rooted and grounded in Jesus, the source of his strength and effectiveness. He began with worship and prayer to his King. And then, when it was light outside, Pastor Manu blew out the candle, picked up his Bible, and headed up to his personal sanctuary in the trees, where he'll continue to prepare himself for the day ahead, ministering to the needs of the people.